This is the dynamic. Now, many people have heard of this type of dynamic of the reflexes. Iridology is one where people look at the iris for its constitutional pattern and the lesions in the iris and so forth, and the markings are registering the weak links in a person's constitution. And so in these reflexive sciences, we find that there is an innate blueprint or a starting point for each person. And then as a person lives life, as a system gets weak or an acquired pathogen is introduced, that these patterns change. There's more congestion, more struggle, and these lines change and reflect it. So for conversations with the healer within, these reflexive patterns, whether it's the looking for anemia in the canthe of the eye, whether it's looking at the iris or the sclera or the feet or the tongue or taking a pulse, all of these types of things, are studying the shape of the head and realizing that a certain type of head might be a certain elemental predisposition, like maybe a head like mine might be the metal element, someone else might be more the water element. And we get all of this reflected information from our bodies, from a drop of blood. And the thing is that it's a dynamic, it's an inner conversation. And it's a dynamic, and we have to learn the body's language in order to participate in the conversation. So, learning the true sclerology, the real sclerology, the sclerology straight from the founder, the way the founder intended it to be done, free of spacious interpretations and extrapolations, and just right down to the simple alphabet and the understanding of stress congestion, and not trying to diagnose things in people, gives us a tremendous power to understand. It gives us an overview to understand what's really going on with the person and what needs to be bolstered. Looking at the feet allows us to make better interpretation of these lines, to know if we need to address protein synthesis, mineral imbalances, and again, the pathogens, or that a determining factor, an obstacle to cure would be lymphatic congestion. By putting the two witnesses together, or if you're an iridologist, putting the three witnesses together will give you a very accurate, self-affirming system that tells you the chief priorities affecting a person. It's not always what the person says is the issue. For instance, a person complaining of terrible pain in the shoulder blade that's fibromyalgia, the eyes might tell us it's really an adrenal issue. A person who says, I can't lose weight, the eyes might tell us it's a thyroid condition. A person with a headache might say, I've tried the popular things for headaches, but the eyes might tell us that there's a subluxation in the vertebrae and that the gallbladder is congested, and the feet might actually point out that the gallbladder is congested and has some pathogenic involvement with it. And so now we're able to design a program that can actually help that person at the root cause. And that's the secret of Scleragrahics, is it gets us back to the cause, or causative information about why a person is fundamentally allowing, why their body is allowing certain symptoms to manifest. This is extremely enriching, extremely powerful information to have. Why? Because once we know a person's, let's say, top 3 chief concerns, if we address those nutritionally, herbally, homeopathically with our natural therapies, and we address the top 3 conditions, and we give relief, chances are, out of the top 3, we have the top 1. And in that top 1, if we give the body some comfort and relief on that, the body then is able, in its own innate wisdom and its own innate healing capacity, it's able to cure and correct 100 other things. It's able to reverse its biological clock. It's able to lift up its homeostasis and function the way it did 10 years ago. Now, this is a critical factor of natural health therapies that we want to get mastery over, because so many people come to see me as a clinician and they say, I have high blood pressure. My doctor's told me I'll have it for life and I have to take this drug for the rest of my life. I say, well, why don't you just go back in time to when you didn't have high blood pressure? You've only had it for 2 years. Why don't you make your body run the way it did 2 years ago? And they go, oh, I didn't think of that. I said, well, let's look at the obstacles. And I'll tell you right now, contrary to what some people looking at the eyes think, the cardiovascular and blood pressure information is not in the heart zone. It's going to be with the pancreas through insulin resistance. It's going to be with the kidneys. And so when we look at the sclera in the feet, what if we find that the person has weak kidneys and they have bacterial infection? Would that not be, once that was removed, once the kidneys were strong and there wasn't bacterial, low-level bacterial involvement, that body is able to reset the clock. It's able to reset its hard drive, so to speak, and it's able then to heal itself of so many other things, one of which just might be why it has thickened the arteries, why it's driving an increased pressure, why is the liver putting more blood into the pipeline than needed. Whatever the weaknesses are that contribute to blood pressure, maybe it's congestion of the brain and the brain sensor about how it's reading the body. What if it's the weak adrenals? Or what if it's adrenals that are overreactive because the thyroid is weak? All of these factors can be a part of a constellation that has a person at age 50 develop hypertension or high blood pressure. The sclera and the feet will differentiate. This person is kidney. This person is free radical damage due to eating too many partially hydrogenated fats. This person is insulin resistance due to seen through the pancreas line. And so now we're able to tailor our program to the individual. We don't have one magic herb formula in herbology that says it's for high blood pressure. Everything we do is for the individual. And so to understand the individual, we as practitioners must engage that individual's body in a dialogue. We have to understand what that body is telling us. You'll find that a quick and simple learning of scleragraphics, the sclerology with the foot glyphology, gives you an unprecedented degree of accuracy of understanding what you need to do and what you need to address to design for a person a healing therapy that might just simply be an offer that that person's body can't refuse. And by taking that offer, that body is able to heal and roll the biological clock back to when and before they ever develop those symptoms. This is the beauty of natural healing. This is the beauty of scleragraphics. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give a little demonstration. I'm going to chart someone, and then we're going to isolate a line or two. This is a person I'm familiar with, and my wife. And we're going to isolate a line in the feet and in the eye, and you're going to see how one without the other is just not the whole picture. We're going to put the two together and know exactly how to design a program, and then have what in the ratio of cure, an unprecedentedly high cure rate of helping people's bodies be able to heal themselves because we've engaged the body in an active and dynamic dialogue. Furthermore, if we miss something and our therapy is not quite getting the job done, the patterns can change and reiterate to us what we need to be doing. So we actually have a system here with scleragraphics of being able to watch the body improve over time, and also to communicate to us if there's an obstacle to cure. And so with this sclerographic art and science, we have the ability to take a person where they are now in their state of health, design the best programs possible, all the way to the point that they're able to run on their own and no longer need therapies. Therapies should be self-limiting. The body should be restored to health, and that's our birthright, and that information is coming directly from that body itself. So let's see how this works.